All right, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the, well, truly extraordinary life of Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Most people know him affectionately as Babasaheb.
Exactly, a towering figure.
Yeah, and our guide for this journey is an outline we have for an audiobook. It's titled Babasaheb, A Revolutionary Voice.
Sounds powerful.
It is. So our mission, as we usually do, is to really pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this narrative, basically offer you a shortcut to understanding this, well, revolutionary figure and the huge impact he had.
And I think what's really striking about this particular story is how it shows the power of just one person's journey. I
Yep.
mean, a journey filled with incredible adversity,
Right.
and how that can spark, a mass societal change, how it can fundamentally reshape a whole nation's future. It's really an exploration of that spirit.
So where do we start this incredible story? It begins in 1891. That's when Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar was born, and he was born into the Maihar caste. Now, this meant right from the beginning, his childhood was defined by the harsh realities of untouchability, as it was known then, and just deep, deep discrimination.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine now.
It really is. For listeners who might not be fully familiar, the term Dalit, which Babasaheb himself actually helped popularize later on, it translates to something like broken or scattered.
A really heavy term.
It signifies those, at the very bottom of the social ladder facing severe segregation, indignity. Think about being a kid in school, being forced to sit on a separate mat.
Or not being allowed to drink from the same water source.
Exactly. Denied access to the common water tap. And these weren't just like one-off things for him. They were his daily reality.
Constant reminders.
But what hits you straight away is his resilience, his incredible resilience. He just flat out refused, to be broken by these huge obstacles.
And, it really puts into perspective the kind of determination you'd need just to get through that, let alone succeed.
Excellent.
And a really crucial part of this, I think, is the role his father played. His father really emphasized education, right, from a very early age.
That seems key.
It was. For Babasaheb, learning wasn't just, about getting ahead personally. It was framed as a direct path to empowerment, to dignity.
A way out, almost.
A way up, definitely. And this core belief, it pushed him. He became the first Dalit student ever to graduate from Elphinstone College.
Which was a big deal then.
A huge deal. But then he took it even further. He pursued higher education abroad at places like Columbia University in America and the London School of Economics in, London.
Wow.
In that era, for someone from his background, I mean, this wasn't just immense, it was almost unimaginable. It flew in the face of every single societal expectation.
That is just an immense achievement. But I'm wondering, beyond the academics, the degrees, what sort of deeper shifts, philosophically, maybe personally, do you think happened during that time abroad? At Columbia, at LSE? Especially considering what he knew he was going back to in India.
That's a great question.
Did it kind of solidify this idea of knowledge as a weapon against injustice?
Oh, absolutely. I think his time overseas wasn't just about collecting qualifications. It was about absorbing these, universal ideas of justice, of human rights.
Seeing different systems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And crucially, getting the intellectual tools, the analytical framework, to really dissect and critique the structures of discrimination back home. He didn't just learn that things were wrong. He learned how to articulate it, how to challenge it legally, intellectually.
Ah.
So that period, I think it absolutely crystallized his belief that education was the most powerful key to liberation, not just for him, but for his whole community. He saw it as the way to not only expose the old order, but to actually build a new one based on genuine human dignity.
So he comes back to India armed with this education, this perspective. But as you said, the situation for Dalits hadn't really changed much. Still dire.
Pretty much unchanged, yeah.
But he didn't hesitate, did he? He jumped right into action. He established the Bahishkrit Hitkarini Sabha.
The Outcasts Welfare Association.
Right. And this wasn't just some charity thing, was it? It felt more strategic.
Very strategic. It was about raising social awareness, crucially, mobilizing the community, giving them a collective voice, a sense of their own power, their own agency.
But then having that collective voice, how do you turn that into real direct action, something tangible?
Well, the Mahan Satyagraha is such a powerful example of that. He personally led this fight. It was about Dalits' right to use public water tanks.
Seems so basic, but so fundamental.
Exactly. It wasn't just about the water itself. It was a deep struggle for basic human dignity.
Yeah.
A very public, very direct challenge to that ingrained discrimination that denied people fundamental rights.
And underlying all this action, what was the bigger picture, the dream?
His overarching dream, the thing driving everything, was an India where every single citizen was genuinely equal.
Simple idea, radical implication.
Absolutely. And he boiled this vision down into this incredibly powerful, enduring slogan, one that still echoes today: educate, agitate, organize.
Educate, agitate, organize. Wow, that's not just a catchphrase, is it? It feels like a blueprint, a strategy for a massive social revolution.
Really was.
And it's amazing how relevant it still feels now. You know, the need for continuous learning, actively challenging injustice, and the sheer power of working together collectively.
Definitely.
But I wonder, that agitate part, for an idea so revolutionary, was there like internal debate within the Dalit movement itself about that? About how far to push or the best way to agitate?
That's a really insightful point. While the principles themselves were clear for it, really, educate, agitate, organize, how you apply them, especially agitate, definitely involve complex thinking and strategy.
Technicalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agitate didn't always mean, street protests necessarily. It meant relentlessly pursuing rights through every channel available: legal channels, social pressure, political action. So sure, there would have been discussions, debates about the best tactics, the right pace, the specific form of agitation in different situations. But the core idea was non-negotiable. Rights had to be demanded. You couldn't just wait for them to be granted.
Makes sense.
It really is, when you think about it, a timeless framework for any group that's marginalized, that's seeking to assert its rights and achieve equality. It demands agency, self-respect.
Okay, so let's fast forward then to 1947, huge moment, India's independence.
A watershed moment, absolutely.
And Babasaheb's role here becomes just critical. He's appointed chairman of the Constitution Drafting Committee.
I mean, talk about a monumental task, shaping the future of the entire nation.
Right, and he authors this constitution that, really for the first time in India's context, explicitly guarantees equality, liberty, justice for all citizens. And it was specifically designed, wasn't it, to dismantle the very injustices he himself had lived through.
That's what's so remarkable. His personal lived experience directly informed the fundamental rights written into the Indian Constitution.
You can see the connection.
Clearly. Things like affirmative action, the formal abolition of untouchability, these weren't just abstract legal concepts floating around. They came directly from his own profound suffering, yes, but also his strategic understanding of how you actually fix systemic injustice through law.
Incredible.
Yet, even as he's doing this nation-building work, shaping India's legal future, he was also dealing with his own health. It was declining significantly during this period.
A quiet struggle behind the scenes.
A very quiet, personal struggle alongside these huge public triumphs. And this sort of culminated on October 14th, 1956, in another incredibly significant act.
His conversion to Buddhism.
Yes. And it wasn't just him. Millions of his followers converted with him. This wasn't merely a religious change. It was a powerful socio-political statement.
A break from the past.
A definite break, marking a new chapter for him and for countless others who were seeking dignity, spiritual freedom outside the traditional caste structure.
And then, sadly, he passed away not long after that, December 6, 1956.
That's right. But his ideas, his struggle, they absolutely live on. They echo through that foundational document he worked so hard to create.
It's really compelling when you think about it all together. How do you see that constitutional work and that huge philosophical shift, the conversion to Buddhism? How are they connected? Was one sort of a natural next step from the other, or were they kind of distinct paths to liberation?
I think, and this is where you see his genius, they were deeply interconnected. Two sides of the same coin, maybe.
Okay.
The Constitution was his effort to bring about change from the outside, you could say.
Yeah.
Structural change, legal equality, enforced by the state.
All right, the framework.
Exactly. But his conversion to Buddhism, that represented a path to liberation from within, a spiritual and social liberation. It offered dignity, self-respect for those who felt completely disenfranchised by the existing religious hierarchies that upheld caste.
So, addressing both the external and the internal.
Precisely. It was a holistic approach, tackling the legal injustices, the external structures, but also the internal, the societal, the spiritual dimensions of oppression.
So if we were to boil down the core message, then, from our source material about Babasaheb, it seems clear he wasn't just a person. He was fundamentally an idea.
That's a great way to put it. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, That idea is such a powerful, enduring one, isn't it? It's like a blueprint for self-respect, for collective empowerment.
Yeah.
It's the assertion that every single human being, it doesn't matter where they're born, what their background is, they deserve inherent respect and equality, period.
A universal message.
Absolutely. Which kind of brings us to an important question, maybe for you listening right now. What steps can you take, in your own life, your own sphere of influence, however big or small? What can you do to help realize the kind of India that Babasaheb envisioned?
Mm.
An India truly founded on equality and justice for everyone.
That is a profound thought. And yeah, definitely a call to action, isn't it? We really encourage you to reflect on that. Think about Baba Sahib's journey, his unwavering commitment to equality, to dignity, and maybe how that could inspire your own search for justice, for understanding in the world around you.